guys, and welcome to my Walking Dead chat for season 7. Disclaimer again, spoiler warning: if you are not caught up with the show or recent news and all of that stuff, then please don't don't listen because we talk about all sorts of stuff in these chats. This one was insane. I am so excited that I was joined by Nikki and Steve. They are amazing and insightful and just very, very, very kind people. They were just so much fun to have, and I had such a great time chatting with them. We go back to an episode that I honestly have not seen since it aired because it was that upsetting to me. So it was quite interesting rewatching this and taking notes for this chat and everything. But I think we all were in the same boat of how strongly affected we were from this episode, and I feel like maybe some of you might agree. But yeah, I hope that you guys are excited for this chat. They were awesome. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Let's get into it.
We're on easy street, and it feels so sweet, 'cause the world is but a treat when you're on easy street.
Hey guys, so for this episode, we are joined by the YouTube reactor power couple, Nikki and Steven React. How are you guys?
Awesome.
We're doing great. Thank you very much for having us.
We are going to be basically going through what I believe to be probably the most devastating episode of The Walking Dead, but maybe some people would disagree, but it was the roughest for me, I believe.
Yep.
It was
same.
Yeah. So I guess first I just want to kind of talk to you guys about, when you started getting into The Walking Dead. Because I know it was the first show you reacted to on your channel, right?
This is the first episode we reacted to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Reaction. Yeah. It started in July of 2012. I had just had my first daughter. She was like weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
Steven was traveling, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch all 3 seasons of The Walking Dead by myself in a tiny condo. Like, that was a bad idea. I literally, besides having a newborn, I just didn't sleep because I was scared out of my mind. I had like escape routes planned and everything.
I didn't know if you were going to say you were scared or emotionally distraught. That's why you couldn't sleep.
The first 3 seasons, like, I was terrified.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was a lot later to the party than Nikki was. I always kind of made fun of her for watching a zombie show. I was like, I always like every time she'd be watching it, I'd see it on TV. I'd be like, that just looks too fake. What are you watching? And then there was one day I actually kind of sat down and kind of watched one with her, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
So then I did the same thing and binged like the first 3 seasons within like a week, and it's been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things to explain to people is that it's not just about zombies.
100%.
Right.
And once they start watching it, they love it, but then it kind of turns into, like I so many people have told me, oh, it's just a zombie show. Why do you like that? But
Yeah. Well, yeah.
it's
It's
better than that.
Way beyond that.
yeah. I mean, like, I think the zombies are just an added. It's. I don't know.
But they look so real, and they look really like I made jokes about it initially, but like once you actually get into it, like the makeup and like all the stuff that plays into like those zombies and the walkers, it's just they do a better job than some of the other zombie products out there.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the makeup is just amazing. I mean, that's like my favorite part.
I think Greg Nicotero, he does like a lot of practical effects and stuff, and they always look so good.
On point.
And they come up with the most interesting things to do to the walkers as well. Like I feel like every season we have different variations of what the walkers like look like, or like we have swamp walkers and the well walker, like all of these things, different type
Which,
of things.
kind of makes it like terrifying to think about what he thinks about all day.
I know, that is true. That's a little.
The evolution of the walker is a pretty
Well,
awesome
yeah.
thing.
Like, what's on your mind?
Yeah.
I think he probably has a pretty twisted mind, just in general. I would guess that.
Or awesome.
Well,
I
Awesome.
think he keeps things in his house. I would be like, nah, I'm gonna go stay in a hotel.
Yeah. All right. So now we are just going to get into the episode. So, like you guys know, I had you guys select the episode
Yep.
from season 7, and I kind of had a feeling you were going to pick this episode. But I wasn't super happy about having to rewatch it. I
It was
gotta
actually a lot
say.
harder than I thought it would be going back and watching it. I think it
Yeah.
was the first time I watched it, me personally, it's been a long time.
Same. I had to like put my hand over the screen and not watch that part. Like I had to like shut my eyes. Like it's bad enough just hearing it.
Yeah, brutal.
Like it brings back all of the ugly cry moments, but
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it aired, since I edited the reaction, and
Right.
I rewatch the show a lot, but
Uh-huh.
I can't. I just skip over it and I pretend it didn't happen. Glenn
It's
and
so hard.
Abraham went on vacation together. That's it. That's what happened. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's how I like to remember it in my mind.
Yep.
So going back, did you guys watch it live?
Yes.
Yes.
And did you guys have any idea, who would be Negan's victim? Did you know that there would be more than one? Did you have any ideas? Like, who did you think it was going to be?
So, based on the last episode of season 6, like you think about like who's sitting next to each other in that little half circle.
Yeah.
And you're, well, he swings at a bat. Who could it possibly be? And we're like, oh, maybe it's Eugene. No, maybe it is Abraham. Like, based on, like this blood splatter and all that stuff, getting all Dexter. But like, like I didn't think it would be 2.
I
Yeah.
definitely had no clue going in. I didn't even really want to like they did a good job of swerving us with the blood spatter on Rick's face.
Yeah.
Realizing that it came from Negan's bat while he was twirling it around and showing off.
Yeah.
But yeah, going into it, I definitely didn't expect 2. I definitely didn't think Glenn would be one of them.
No.
Just because of what they did to everybody with the
Yeah.
whole dumpster situation. And like, are they really going to kill Glenn again? Are they going to put
Right.
people through that? Like, I really didn't think that was yeah. I definitely didn't think there were going to be 2, and I didn't think it was going to be either one of them.
I kind of thought it would be Daryl, though. I mean, Daryl's my favorite, but I mean, Glenn and Daryl both my favorites. But like,
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was going to be them because that would be like a huge. I mean, I didn't think it would be Glenn. I thought it would be Daryl, but that would be a huge like hit to the show. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that when I went into it, it was more, I had a feeling it would be Glenn.
right.
Yeah, you
And
did that. We saw we made sure to go back and watch your reaction to it as well.
Yeah.
I had
By
my
the way,
Glenn
what's that?
t-shirt on. I was ready. I was saying goodbye. But I had a feeling, I mean, I did read the comics, so I had a feeling that
Okay.
like they might do the same thing. Because I was thinking about it, and I'm not sure anybody else would have had the same effect that Glenn did with
Well,
everybody
yeah,
in
I
that
didn't
circle.
really cry for Abraham. I mean, I feel bad, but I just,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Wasn't the same oomph.
No, because there's a certain, I don't know, romantic, I don't know, about the whole Glenn and Maggie and
Mhm.
family and children
And he was always the moral compass. He was always the good guy. Like
Yeah.
he was always
the helper.
yeah. Like he was an amazing character.
Yeah.
Well, if you like look at the lineup of everybody there, they were all at some point affected by Glenn helping them at some point
Yeah.
in time or another. And I think before that, I wasn't really even thinking of it like that. I was happy. I'm not happy, but I was slightly content when it was Abraham,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I know,
because
poor Abraham. That sucks.
I know that's such a shitty thing to say, but I was like, oh my God, Glenn's not gonna die. And then
Why couldn't
I
they
was
have
like,
just
thanks.
Yeah. I mean,
just take Eugene. I will gladly sacrifice him, please.
my first thought when it was going to be Abraham is like, oh man, no more good one-liners. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the big thing with like he was. I loved him as a character. I thought he was great. He was a big, strong, powerful character.
And Dolphin Smooth.
And Dolphin, yeah.
Yeah.
But his one-liners, like I still miss them today. Like
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I love
the,
Abraham.
that's the loss.
Yeah.
It's not as emotional as more like, oh man, no more funny jokes, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into Abraham. I mean, I think that his loss was crazy for the
Yes.
group just because, like, could you imagine? What do you think if he survived? Do you think they would have gone after Negan sooner?
Oh, yes. Especially with Abraham's assistance.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was really evident that they lost a good soldier.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I mean, there's no and three people really, really, really connected to that guy. That,
Yeah.
I mean, changed their path a lot.
Yeah.
And it may not have been the most emotional thing for the fans or the people watching. I'm sure there were a lot of Abraham fans who were really upset, but like he had a really deep connection with some of the big characters in the show. So that was impactful in that situation. But yeah, if he was still alive, who knows how that would have played out.
He had just started to kind of open up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
being with Sasha and showing his true feelings, and then basically telling Rosie to peace out. Just
Yeah, I
don't think we would have lost Eugene to Negan if Abraham was around.
Yeah.
Even though that ended up helping in the long run.
Yeah.
So who knows how that played out.
I always thought that Abraham's death played a really big part in Eugene having this kind of crisis of whose side should I really be on at the end of the day, because Eugene, the biggest protector, the strongest guy he knows, got his head bashed in. So
Right.
I think that kind of played into how his character developed after
100%.
I
that.
agree. Yeah.
I mean, that was his style. He would always latch on to, that's the vibe I got once this all played out, is he wanted to attach himself to who he thought would protect him the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
And previously that was Abraham. Abraham was always going to stick up for him like big brother.
And then he went with Negan and then later made his switch back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think after the episode on The Talking Dead, they mentioned this, and since they mentioned this, I couldn't get it out of my head that in that lineup, you see Abraham sitting up, and everybody else is hunched over. Abraham's daring Negan to take him out, and I love that because he really is the protector.
Yes.
In a very and even his body language is saying okay, I'll take this. Everybody else can be safe.
Exactly. Yes. I'll stand up and I will, take it for the team.
Or 6, 7, 8 for the team.
Yeah, I mean, 1 or 2,
Oh my goodness.
All right. Yeah. And so now I'm gonna get into the punch.
Yeah.
So do you guys blame Daryl for Glenn's death?
I do 100%. Without question.
I didn't at first, but when you really think about it, I don't know, Negan didn't have to continue any further. I think everybody had at that point learned their lesson, but damn it, Daryl.
Yeah.
I believe Negan, as bad of a bad guy as he is, I don't think he would have killed anyone else if Daryl didn't act like that. He had a point to prove. He said he was going to go in there, take out one person, and then Daryl retaliated, and then he had to prove he couldn't let that happen. He couldn't let that slide. And he even said that. He's like, I don't know who you guys have been dealing with before, but I ain't gonna let that shit slide. And
But you know what? It also kind of taints Abraham's death. Like he
Totally.
died for nothing, kind of.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to take it for the team. Well, nope, now you don't get to because now I take somebody else out because of Daryl's actions.
his damn impulse reaction to stuff.
I mean, you kind of understand why he got upset, but at the same time, like, damn it, just sit down, boy.
Yeah, right. I don't necessarily think that. I mean, I think they really needed, and they did in the next in the season. I think they needed to have a moment between Maggie and Daryl where she kind of said, "Listen, I don't blame you," because
Yeah.
it is a very human reaction to do that. I
Yes.
think, especially in those circumstances, but. Yeah, I think that was like the start of a lot of people kind of turning on Daryl. Not that
Yeah.
much. He's still like, kind of top dog of the fan favorites, I feel like. But, it was like the first time that people were like, "Damn it, Daryl, what are you doing?"
It's not the first time that he's made a questionable decision, and it won't
Yeah.
be, as we've seen, it wouldn't be his last.
Right.
Yeah.
He's impulsive, to say the
Yes.
least.
I mean, I still love him, but
Yes.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's just Daryl. Just go sit down sometimes. Just chill.
Yeah. All right, so and moving on to, of course, Glenn's death, which is probably, I mean, one of the most gruesome, talking about the practical effects that, they do in these episodes. I mean, it was just seeing him like that is devastating, at least to
Yeah.
me.
same.
It was one of all the stuff that we've watched on TV up to this point, it's easily in the top two in terms of the most shocking and gruesome things that we've ever seen.
Right.
I mean, the way he friggin' had the eyeball popping out and just like unbelievable.
Gives me the chills still. Like it's awful. Like you think about the amount of force that it takes to slam a baseball bat covered in barbed wire down into somebody's head and make his eye pop out of his yuck.
Brutal.
Glenn.
So brutal. It was so brutal.
I remember being so upset that Negan kept talking through it. And I know it's so stupid because, like, Negan is literally, like, running the show at that point. But I was like, excuse me, Glenn has his final words to say. You need to shut the fuck up right now. You know what I mean? Like...
Yes, like he needs to say to Maggie, I'm gonna find you. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was, I mean, Negan through that whole scene was just like, dude, you are a giant asshole. Just chill out. Like the moment he tries to be sincere, it's just like, dude, stop.
I know.
Like, oh, this is really hard for you guys. Like, yeah, no shit, dude. Like,
It's just a bunch of bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
it's like, oh my God.
How
Crazy.
much do you guys think Negan read the room with him choosing his victims? I don't think Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo was Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo.
No, not at all.
He knew what he was doing the whole time, but he loves to make people squirm.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to Abraham's posture, I think Negan probably wanted to prove a point and be like, oh, you think you're a big, bad, tough guy. Like, all right, well, I'm going to break your group by taking you out. Like,
Yeah.
I think posture kind of played into it a lot.
Mm.
And I don't know if he thought out as much with Glenn. I just think Glenn was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was just in...
Maybe anybody who was sitting there.
Yeah.
But then also he knew who Glenn was.
Well,
in relation to the group.
Yeah, I think maybe it's more like him looking at everybody, seeing who they're looking at, who are they worried about.
Right.
You know, like it was pretty easy I would think it would be pretty ezy to know that Glenn and Maggie were a couple in that lineup, even if they didn't say anything, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
You would know.
There's a pull there. There's a connection there.
And I do think that Negan's pretty good at reading people.
Oh yeah.
So
he's a brilliant character. I mean, as much
is.
as you might want to hate him, like, he's a brilliant character.
Well, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is just phenomenal.
So did Jeffrey Dean Morgan live up to your expectations of Negan, or were you thinking it was going to be somebody different?
See, I didn't know Jeffrey Dean Morgan before this.
Okay.
So he is 100% like the perfect villain ever. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the word I picked as well. Like, I think the casting of him as Negan was perfect. I mean, obviously we weren't really familiar with the Negan character before all of this played out, obviously, because we weren't the comic readers or anything. But having it all played out and seeing how he's like, even in that when we first meet him, I mean, I'm a pro wrestling fan. I think he's the absolute perfect bad guy, the perfect heel. He's got so much swagger and confidence and charisma, but at the same time, it's like, Rick, just kill him.
I know.
Just like, you love to hate the guy so much. I think he was perfect.
But like, how do you kill off somebody that you just love to hate?
Yeah. I think he's the top. I think for me, he's the top bad guy that we've seen in this show. I think.
Yeah, he's probably most people's top bad guy. Well, in this last season, a lot of people were switching to Team Negan. They were like, he makes good points. I didn't agree, but I was not one of them.
On Team Negan.
I mean, I'm on Team Negan because I like good bad guys, but I want him to lose.
Yes.
End of the day, I want him to lose.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I will kill you. Okay, well, where is that?
When's it coming, Rick?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We don't need to get into that, but as much as Rick wanted to honor Carl's memory, like that's great, but I would kind of like to see him kill Negan a lot. But,
well, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
We're on Team Maggie now.
Yeah. So how did you feel about the scene of Negan basically wanting to force Rick to cut off Carl's arm?
Oh, that was intense.
That was, after everything that had played out, that was like really hard to watch. Mm-hmm. Just seeing Rick just in a place that I don't think we've ever seen him in ever. Just completely destroyed and broken, and hope is gone, and just like.
Well, and that's your child.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as a parent, to be told that you have to then inflict massive amounts of pain onto your own child, like, that kills me. Like,
and of course, Carl, like a straight G, he's like, Dad, just do it.
I know. Oh, that almost made me cry. I'm like,
I know he was very brave, in that moment. But again, it's not like he's killing him though, but he's going to have to live with a missing arm his whole life. Like, oh man, that's just, how could Rick like live with himself? But then again, also he would still be alive.
Right.
So
I
think,
I think the episode, we first get Abraham dying, and we're like, okay, now it's over. Then we get Glenn dying, and we're like, okay, now it's over. And then he pulls out Carl, and we're like, okay, listen, I understand, but like my heart can't take this. It was just so tense. And we really didn't get any sort of release until I think, they kind of drove away, and everybody's just sitting there crying.
Yeah.
Well, even like when Rick is laying on the top of the RV and he's imagining like the rest of his crew being slammed in the head with Lucille, like it's like, oh great, so we're gonna get back after they're done with their little like retrieve my axe thing, and he's gonna like kill everybody else. Like it was a really rough episode.
Yeah, I think. And just even showing the episode through the lens of like Rick's grief was really great way to do it, and then do the kind of like flashbacks to what actually happened. Because I mean, I believe that Andrew Lincoln is like the best actor the show has, and he can pull that off.
Yeah,
well,
we still got him for a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Pump the brakes.
I mean, like looking back at it, I could remember sitting down and watching it and being like, just get to it. Like, what are you guys doing? And then watching it, how long ago was that at this point? Watching it
Like 2
now,
years.
yeah, watching it now, it's like that was really, really well done.
Yes.
The way they put that together, it was like, okay, that was obviously in the moment live. You're just like, just do it, get it over with. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you want to rip off the Band-Aid.
watching it now, it was like that was really, really awesome storytelling. Like
Well,
it was amazing.
People stopped watching after
Yeah,
that.
a lot of people.
Yeah, and I was like, no, you have to know. You have to know what happens after.
Yeah, I've got, well, I get a ton of, and I don't know if you guys get the same comments, but I always get a ton of comments on like all of my Walking Dead videos being like, I don't watch this anymore.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
And
do.
it's like,
Yeah.
why do you waste your time coming
Yes.
to a show or a reaction to a show that you don't watch anymore just to say you don't watch it anymore? Like,
Yeah, plus, I mean, they want to see us react to. I think, I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows what's in those folks' minds when they're doing that kind of thing? I don't like. I feel like I'm kind of in a minority, but like I really like where the show has gone over the last couple seasons.
And it had to change.
I'm a big fan of the Negan story and everything that's going on there. But I'm also not that hard to please. You tell a good story, you give me good characters, I'm gonna love
right.
it.
Yeah. I think a main reason was kind of season 7 was such a stark contrast from season 6. Season 6, like Rick and his group were unstoppable.
Right.
And they had all these triumphant moments. And then season 7, it was like Daryl's in a cell, and it was just Rick doesn't want to fight. It was a downer, to be honest.
It definitely was.
It was a rough season. Yeah, Daryl on Easy Street.
Worst song ever.
I actually like that song.
So whenever I watch this episode, I mean, I cry at the deaths, but the final scene where they're walking over to the bodies and stuff like that, that brings me, like, that breaks me more than the actual deaths do.
Yeah. Well, like helping Maggie up.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, just Maggie, that whole post scene is just like, oh my God.
Like, how do you even breathe after that? How do you take care of yourself after that?
Like, I was really torn with my emotions because it almost felt like there was a level of like triumph and like hope almost, just because as broken as Maggie was, like she was completely destroyed and lost the person that she loved more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
But her reaction was to group everyone back together, get them back, fight.
Yeah.
Like her initial reaction was to fight back instead of just being like, oh, well, this is over.
Like, I can't carry on. I'm
right.
done. Yeah.
Like that gave me a personal sense of like, it was like emotional in like a happy kind of way because it was more like, oh my God, like she's a savage. Like she wants to go take care of this. Like she is, and as we see later, is an amazing leader. Like she's super strong, and Maggie is just, she's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah, and I get emotional even when you think about she like turns around at one point, she hugs Carl, and like she was there for Carl on his hardest day when his mom died.
Right.
And for him to be there for her, like standing over Glenn's body, I feel like those two characters don't get a ton of time together, but I love that the show kind of puts a little spotlight on that. Like these two actually share kind of a very deep connection on that, on grief and loss.
Right. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was a very good moment for sure.
Yeah.
And Rick saying he's our family too. I can't. Makes me cry so much every single time.
Yeah. Oh gosh, don't even get me started.
I mean, Rick, where would Rick be like at that moment if it wasn't for Glenn, you know?
Yeah, he would be in a tank.
Yeah. He probably still, possibly still there, who knows?
Yeah. Right.
But like a lot of people owe a lot to that guy, and I mean, I don't even know the right word to describe what he was exactly, but like he was he was amazing to a lot of people. He meant a lot to everyone.
Well, yeah, he was a brother, a son, a dad,
Yeah.
all of those.
And always doing as much as in this world as you can, doing things morally as good as possible,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
It's all our family.
just when you thought the feels couldn't get any worse, they do that Sunday dinner
Oh, yeah.
scene
Yes.
with
That, I
Glenn
mean,
and his
it will
kid.
really rip your heart out,
I don't know if it was harder watching that then or watching that now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Like all of everything that they've gone through, and seeing some of the folks sitting at that table, just like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
come
gosh.
on.
I know, with Baby Ree, it's like, oh my God, Glenn holding his own child, and
Yeah.
that's never going to happen. And
This group has gone through a lot of brutal changes since that moment.
Yeah.
It was just so painful. It was hard to watch, for sure.
it changed all of them. Yeah.
I think they really went with the emotional punches for this episode.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a more emotional. I mean, we're new to the whole Game of Thrones world thing, but it's the Red Wedding and this episode.
Yeah.
They're on par with each other in terms of just shock and awe and emotion. I mean, total insanity.
What's interesting about that comparison is the Red Wedding, unless you did read the books, it comes out of nowhere.
Right.
Right?
We didn't read the books either on that. So
yeah, and then but with Walking Dead, you at least knew somebody was going to die going into that episode, And I don't know which is worse,
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's a good question. Yeah.
I mean, the Abraham, when that happened, it was kind of like, okay, we know who's going to die.
Right.
It's happening.
You're coming to terms with
and then when Daryl acted, I immediately was just like, oh God, he's going to take someone else out. What is he going to do? That part kind of came out of nowhere for me personally.
Yes.
Right.
And everything else that played out in that episode was just brutal.
I remember there was they got a lot of flack by how brutal the deaths were after this episode aired, and a lot of people were calling them out and I never understood it, though I do think, I don't know, it was kind of bizarre to me because it's like you knew literally season 6 ends with somebody getting their head bashed in.
Yeah.
You knew what you were signing up for when you're going to watch this, right? I don't know.
They kill zombies in all these different ways, and that's not considered brutal. I mean,
he did take a bunch of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to make some guts and blood splash out all over the place, but
I understand, but
it fits the character.
Yes, exactly. There you go. It's not like it was out of nowhere for Negan, I guess.
Yeah.
He just seems like that kind of guy.
Nowhere in my brain did I expect him to just hit somebody in the head once and walk away.
Yeah, no.
That wasn't. That's not. I never once.
He was really gonna drive it in.
Yeah, I wasn't ever expecting him just to make it as soft as possible.
Mm-hmm.
He was gonna prove his point and make it as terrible as possible. And
I mean, and
mission accomplished.
If you can't handle brutality, you probably shouldn't be watching literally The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it is different, if it's a character that you have loved all of this time and stuff like that, but I did find it to be very interesting that there was such a backlash for how violent it was. And
yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know, this show has a ton of very violent scenes. I don't know. It was very bizarre to me.
Yes. 100%.
I guess those people were okay with other people eating other people. I guess that worked.
That's okay. That's fine.
Cannibalism, no problem.
Yeah.
You do in the head with a bat, that's crossing a line.
Yeah.
Gone too far now.
So what do you guys think about Rick's mental state at the end of the episode? I mean, not only he lost Abraham, a great soldier. Glenn, you can argue, is also a great soldier, but also a great friend, and even taking Daryl as hostage, he lost three people who were great assets to him, technically.
Yeah.
And do you think that he even had any sort of idea, like, oh, I'm going to fight, or he was just done at that point?
No, I feel like Negan like ripped his soul out, like literally.
Yeah.
Like he looked just like a shell of a person, which awesome acting by
Yeah.
Andrew Lincoln. Like it just, I mean, him sitting in the RV, getting ready to drive away. It's that was not him anymore.
Yeah, I think the moment after he tried to attack Negan in the RV was the beginning stages of him just being completely broken. Because that was basically Negan kind of punked him at the moment where he was gonna make him cut Carl's arm off.
Yeah.
And he was completely submissive at that point and was just like, no, we can't fight these people. They're gonna kill us. Like,
Yeah.
I think Negan completely took everything that Rick was about and just smashed it within a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that it's very interesting to see the two different, Rick being completely broken and what you were saying before with Maggie saying,
Yeah.
okay, now we have to fight. It's very
Right.
interesting how everybody had very different reactions. And
Right.
even I think Sasha and Rosita like went kind of on that crazy mission at the end of the season because they were
Yep.
so ready to fight.
Yes.
It felt like Rick accepted his defeat and wanted to keep as many of his people alive as possible at that point.
Yeah.
And everyone else was kind of like, no, screw that. We're going to fight this guy and we're going to win.
Yeah.
Rick was being a good, ultimately, I feel like he was being a good leader just because he didn't, as a leader, you can't have any more people die. And that was his priority, is making sure that no more people died.
Yeah.
Once that all kind of got wrapped up and Negan made his point.
Do you when you look back, do you have any sort of, do you feel the same as some people saying like, well, maybe Negan's way of doing things works? Do you think it does?
I would like to see, like, the beginning of all this from the side of Negan and
Yeah.
how, like, the things that Rick was doing were pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he stormed one of his outposts and they killed a bunch of people while they were sleeping.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty ruthless.
Yeah, that was gangster.
Yeah, we just love Rick because we started with Rick. It would be really amazing to kind of see things from Negan's perspective because I think because of his character and how persuasive he is and how much charisma he's got and just he's such a powerful character and a leader. Like I do in that world, you can't live like it's a normal world. I feel like to an extent Negan's plan does work. I think it could use a little bit of tweaks here and there.
He does run a tight ship.
But I think it's got to be that way in that world. And the way he runs it, it's very much a dictatorship. And that's not necessarily okay in a normal real world. But in the zombie apocalypse, I think you need really strong, powerful single leaders to kind of get through those things. But I don't know. It's really hard to agree with just because of how, like, my word's the only word kind of thing. Like the whole everyone's Negan, like that stuff is a little much.
And I take from you. Yeah.
But the bargain, the basically the trade, it's not really trade because he's just kind of making them work for him. But I mean, he is essentially kind of, there is a level of protection that he's providing these people.
Right.
As long as you do what you're supposed to do. And I mean, yeah, it's really hard to say. I'm kind of torn on if his way is the right way because it feels like it worked a little bit, but there is a little bit of unnecessary extremes in there at the same time.
Yeah, well, Dwight even says in one episode that, you would be amazed at how many people are happy to kneel if they get protection out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just look at one of our one of our characters that we spent a lot of time with Eugene. Like, he was
Yeah.
perfectly okay. As long as he was safe, he didn't care what he had to do
Right.
Yeah.
until the tide switched again.
Damn, Eugene.
Eugene's fascinating to me. I'm always I was very interested in the past couple of seasons for Eugene episodes because I found him to be really interesting.
Never got a read on his intentions until
Yeah.
until they played out. Like, was he always gonna do that? Was he happy with Negan?
Yeah.
Did he feel like Negan was losing his way and he decided to be like, okay, I got to go back to Rick? Like, being in his brain would be pretty amazing, just because he was very hard to read. Never knew what his plan was.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I think that's about it for talking about the episode. Unless there's anything else that you guys want to touch on.
No, I think we got it all.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the most heart-wrenching
Yes.
episodes
Really
ever.
didn't think it was going to be that hard. Like, my heart was racing. Like, I was getting anxious. Like, I didn't think all those emotions were going to come back rewatching it all this time later.
I screamed. I mean, come on.
It's pretty amazing thing to go back to and rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I am going to end this with kind of a like fun game. And it's going to be like a speed round of 15 questions of
Boy.
like a this or that would you rather Walking Dead edition. Okay?
Okay.
And just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Oh,
Okay. And I will just get right into it. Would you rather have an endless supply of food or an endless supply of weapons?
Weapons.
food.
Who would you rather babysit your kids, Negan or the governor?
Oh, shoot.
Negan.
Negan. Yeah.
Would you rather spend a summer road tripping in the RV with Dale or spend a summer farming with Herschel?
Herschel.
Who would you rather be by your side and loyal to you throughout the entire apocalypse, Aaron or Jesus?
Jesus.
Aaron.
Really?
You guys are picking very different answers. Who would you rather be stuck in a prison cell with no way out, Merle or Simon?
Oh, God. Simon? Maybe.
Simon.
Well,
Would
I
you-
feel like Merle would like totally like take you over. Anyway,
That's true. That's true.
as a woman, no.
Would you rather be alive and a cannibal or a walker chained to Negan's fence?
Alive, eating other people.
Yeah. Same.
Would you rather live in a community with Gregory as the leader or with Spencer as the leader?
Neither?
Is neither the option?
I
guess
Gregory.
Gregory.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Spencer.
I really didn't like Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's the
I go.
worst.
I think Gregory.
Okay.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Would you rather eat a tub of chocolate pudding with Carl on the rooftop or get drunk in a shack on moonshine with Daryl and Beth?
Daryl and Beth.
Yeah, that sounds like way more fun. I mean, Carl's amazing and pudding's great, but
Would you rather the show give a flashback to Glenn and Maggie's wedding or finally show what in the hell happened to Heath?
Oh my God, yeah, what did happen to that guy?
He just disappeared.
I want to know what happened to Heath.
Yeah,
I do.
that would be that'd be more interesting. I've had enough with weddings.
Yeah, I'm done with those.
If you had to personally choose, who would you rather, this is a bit morbid, beat to death with Lucille? Ezekiel or Jerry?
Oh my God, how could you? Either. Ew, no way.
I think
Beat to death?
Ezekiel.
Really?
I don't know. He seems so much more fun loving. That would be I'd feel worse doing that.
I feel bad for both, man.
Yeah, that's a but we love both of them.
I know.
But yeah,
I
I mean, especially that we learned a little bit about the king, got backstory on him. That's
I don't know.
I don't know. Jerry's so fun loving. I couldn't do that to him.
Yeah, maybe Ezekiel, I guess. Oh gosh.
That's a
That's a
terrible
reluctant.
Yeah.
Would you rather bring Shiva back to life or ensure that Judith survives until the end of the show?
Shiva.
Ooh,
Sorry, Judith, but Shiva all day.
babies or animals with Nikki.
I
That's
know you can't do that. That's my. You knew.
let the baby live.
Yeah.
No, it would be Judith.
Yeah.
It would be Judith all day. But I mean Shiva.
I mean, Nikki's reaction to Shiva's death is almost on par to her reaction to Glenn's death.
Yeah.
Crying over a fake cat.
Shut up! Why can't you do that? I hate you. That's it.
Would you rather be as smart as Eugene or as good of a shot as Sasha?
Well, who's still alive? Eugene, yes.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather be the smart guy. You're always
He gets himself out of situations.
You're always valuable. Brains are always valuable. You could always find warriors, people who could shoot.
Yeah.
This is another not nice one. Would you rather make Carol look at the flowers or kill Michonne with her own sword?
Whoa!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Did you come up with these questions yourself, girlfriend? Oh
I
my
did.
God.
I thought long and hard of how to stump you.
These are really good, but oh my god,
I'm gonna go with Carol just
Yeah.
because Michonne's younger. She's got more
Hey, slow down.
value in long term.
Well, no, but I don't know.
Age has to play a factor in this world.
No.
Yeah, I think so. If we're picking those two, they're both amazing. I think Michonne provides. I think she provides more at this point. I don't know. That's
All right,
tough.
I'm gonna have to agree, unfortunately.
even though everyone calls you Carol.
Yeah. I'm like, you want me to look at the flowers? No.
Who would you rather be on your side in a fight to the death, Rick or Daryl?
Daryl, he cheats.
Oh, that's true.
I think I've never been that impressed with Rick as a fighter.
I'm gonna go with
What do
Rick
you
though
mean?
because
He bites throats out.
That is true.
when put in a corner,
Yeah,
they'll bite your throat. That's right.
that's
I remember
a good
that.
point.
Especially when
Sorry,
defending-
I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm sorry.
Well, sometimes we forget those small details.
It's true. It's true. I'm going with Rick.
I'll stick with Daryl.
Okay. And the last question, if you could, who would you bring back to life from the dead, Glenn or Carl?
Shane.
I think that's an easy one for me.
Glenn, all day.
I mean,
Sorry, Carl. But
Carl. Well, that's like looking at things now. I think Carl's death ended up being a potential downfall more for Rick than Glenn, and Rick's the backbone. But for me personally, Carl drove me crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
With some of his, like, obviously he's a kid living in an apocalypse. Like, it's going to be hard to make good decisions. But yeah, I think Glenn for me personally.
same.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it. That was to kind of lighten up the mood, but now, like, you're thinking about possibly bashing in Ezekiel's head. So I don't know if that really lightened the mood, but.
Hey, I'm still thinking about Shane, so it's all.
Oh,
good.
it's okay. Yeah. All right. And I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for doing this. It really means a lot to me that you guys found time in your schedule to sit and chat with me for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Anytime you want.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And guys, we will see you for another Walking Dead video tomorrow.
Yay!